Why General Hospital's Lucky and Elizabeth can never be together again. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a nice day before we begin the video. Please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. General Hospital has made it pretty clear that it intends to officially reunite Lucky Spencer and Elizabeth Webber. But the show has now thrown an almost insurmountable obstacle in their way. Even before Lucky, Jonathan Jackson, arrived back in Port Charles late last summer, we knew what was coming as his Liz dream in Jen Sidwell's Carlo Rota. African prison was a pretty heavy anvil being beaten over our heads. Although it's been slow going since then, things are speeding up with Lucky moving in with Elizabeth, Rebecca Herbst. The problem is, he is not the man she thinks he is, and we don't even understand what is going through his head. Lucky is keeping a massive secret he doesn't have to keep. When Elizabeth learns the truth, how can she even forgive him? Who is Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Muncy, to Lucky that he thinks he has to protect her from her own stupid and insane choices? She is his boss at a bar, and they barely knew one another before he returned to town, mainly because Christina was born when he was already an adult. Lucky's first instinct was to protect Christina after he first saw the crush and knew what she had done, but then became angry when he realized Elizabeth was one of his victims. When it was just Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, what Christina did seemed to be okay with him. Then, for some unknown reason, Christina's whining convinced him not to say anything the next day. Elizabeth has learned to trust Lucky again and thinks he would never keep secrets from her or lie to her. But now he is protecting the woman who nearly got her killed. Rick is also keeping Christina's secret, but for his own selfish reasons as he helps Ava, Maura West, extort money out of Alexis, Nancy Lee Grana. However, Liz is used to this kind of behavior from Rick. She has also not fallen back in love with him as she has with Lucky. Too bad he is lying to her every day while protecting someone who doesn't deserve to be protected. How can Liz ever truly be with him again? It was the kind of love story that soaps are built on, the kind that starts in youth, endures tragedy, weathers betrayal, and keeps viewers hoping for decades. Lucky Spencer and Elizabeth Webber had one of General Hospital's most iconic romances, their journey stretching across eras, cast changes, and dramatic arcs that defined a generation of Port Charles fans. From high school sweethearts to the epitome of angst-ridden adult lovers, Lucky and Liz were once thought to be endgame. But over time, something shifted, something fundamental. And now, no matter how deeply fans may want it, no matter how much nostalgia we cling to, Lucky and Elizabeth can never be together again. The reasons are layered, complex, and built upon years of emotional damage, character development, and missed opportunities. To understand why they can't reunite, we need to go all the way back to the beginning, to the raw and tender foundation of their love, and trace how that once beautiful connection unraveled into something irreparable. When Elizabeth Webber first arrived in Port Charles in the late 90s, she was rebellious, wild, and constantly pushing boundaries. Lucky Spencer, the adventurous and idealistic son of Luke and Laura, was the only person who saw past Liz's tough exterior. He saw the pain underneath, the grief, the loneliness, the hunger to be loved. And it was in that vulnerability that their connection blossomed. Elizabeth's rape storyline was a turning point for both characters. It showed Lucky's quiet strength, his protectiveness, and his ability to be present without pressure. He was patient, supportive, gentle, and Liz in turn trusted him in a way she had never trusted anyone before. Their bond became sacred, rooted in healing, mutual respect, and emotional safety. But soap operas thrive on upheaval, and Lucky and Elizabeth's love was repeatedly tested. His presumed death, the fire, the betrayals, the brainwashing, it all began to chip away at the foundation. Still, they always found their way back. For years, it felt inevitable that these two would always be each other's safe harbor. Every time they were torn apart, fans clung to the idea that they'd reunite.
Yet sometimes,
But the story
the
the real tragedy isn't when love ends. It's when it changes into something unrecognizable. One of the most pivotal fractures in their relationship came not from external forces, but from within. Elizabeth's affair with Jason Morgan was a turning point, not just in her character arc, but in how she viewed love and loyalty. For Lucky, it was a devastating betrayal. He had built his identity on doing the right thing, on standing by the people he loved. And here was Elizabeth, the woman he'd loved through everything, choosing danger and secrecy over the honest partnership they once shared. It wasn't just the act of cheating, it was the emotional intimacy she shared with Jason. Elizabeth and Jason had a quiet, intense chemistry that Lucky could never quite understand. And perhaps that's what truly drove the wedge between them. Jason represented a part of Elizabeth that Lucky never had access to, her desire for protection, for simplicity, for someone who didn't expect emotional transparency. With Jason, she could escape. With Lucky, she had to confront. But Lucky wasn't blameless either. His descent into addiction and his emotionally distant phases after being brainwashed by Helena Cassadine left Elizabeth in a constant state of uncertainty. She never knew which version of Lucky she would get, and while he eventually found sobriety, the emotional wreckage was never fully cleared. Every time they tried to rebuild, they were working on uneven ground, with too much history and too little trust. Then came the final unraveling, the moment when their relationship lost its spark for good. When Elizabeth became pregnant and the question of paternity emerged once again, Lucky was tired. Tired of being second choice. Tired of chasing a fantasy that never quite matched reality. Tired of trying to fix something that had broken one too many times. His decision to walk away was painful, but it was the beginning of a long overdue truth. Some love stories are only meant to last for a season. In the years since, Elizabeth has evolved. She's no longer the wounded teen searching for safety. She's a mother, a nurse, a woman who has made peace with her mistakes, even if they still haunt her. She's found different kinds of love, some fleeting, some complicated, some unfinished. And Lucky. He's become a ghost in Port Charles lore, always talked about, never quite seen. He left in search of clarity, of identity, of peace outside the chaotic world that raised him. Even if he were to return today, they are no longer the same people. Time has reshaped them in ways that make their once perfect compatibility impossible. They've grown apart not just emotionally, but fundamentally. Elizabeth has created a life rooted in stability, routine, and motherhood. Lucky was never meant for that kind of life, not fully. His father's legacy of restlessness lives in him. The same romanticism that once drew him to Elizabeth is what keeps him wandering. And Elizabeth, for all her growth, knows that now. She's no longer waiting at the window for him to come home. It's not bitterness. It's not resentment. It's clarity. That clarity is perhaps the most mature thing either of them has ever embraced. They may always care for each other. They may always share a bond over their children, over their history, over the pain and beauty of their youth. But love, the kind of love that builds a life together, that's no longer in the cards. Fans may continue to wish for a Lucky and Elizabeth reunion. The nostalgia is powerful. Their early love story is forever etched into the DNA of General Hospital. But reunions only work when the people involved are still capable of connecting at the same level. And these two, they've simply outgrown each other. Some stories end with a bang. Others fade quietly into memory. Lucky and Elizabeth's story is the latter. A beautiful, tragic reminder that sometimes the most epic loves aren't the ones that last forever. They're the ones that teach us who we are and what we need so that we can finally find peace in someone else or in ourselves. And maybe that's okay. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our YouTube channel for more update news.